I basically, grew up in Switzerland in the mountains in a place called Davos. And when I was around 14, 15, I told my parents I wanted to study film. And they said, oh, it's just a phase, it's going to go by. and that's not going to be, he probably will become a doctor or a lawyer or something. And then when I graduated high school, I said, no, I'm going to become a film director. And I applied to NYU Film School in New York. And I had someone, sort of a benefactor, sponsor, who paid for my first year and said, if you have any talent, I will pay for the rest. So I went to NYU and he paid for my studies. And then I graduated, and after I graduated at NYU in New York, I made 2 documentaries in New York and then moved to Los Angeles in the mid-1990s and started looking for jobs there and started writing a lot of screenplays, and nothing happened for like 2 or 3 years. And then when I made my first feature, Everything Put Together in '99, that went to Sundance and won sort of in 2000, and I won Best New Director.
I wondered if you needed some more help.
I think you should go. Angie, please go. Please go.
It's not my baby.
And that sort of enabled me to make Monsters Ball, and then I made Monsters Ball, and Monsters Ball became a very successful movie, and Halle Berry won the Academy Award, and then Finding Neverland and so on. I mean, it was very difficult at the beginning, because in film school they teach you all about art and making movies, but they don't teach you the business side of it all. So, as a young filmmaker, when I came out of film school, I really had to understand and learn how this business side of the filmmaking really works. And it's not just like finding the money to make your movies, but also then the marketing and trying to sell your movie. I mean, all those steps are very complex and very difficult, and so I was very unaware of that. Then ultimately, when I made my first movie, and I made it for like $50,000 on a digital video camera, and I can only really say that to any young filmmaker out there is find the story you connect the most with, you're the most passionate with, you really feel like you're speaking the truth, and it and it sort of has something in common with you, because once you tell a story like that and it is powerful, people will watch it, and you will, you basically, but you have to almost make that, that film doesn't happen automatically. You really have to force it that it happens, and it's a discipline. It's a lot of work and hard work, and it's not just the first movie. Then you have to try to get the second movie made, and it's on and on and on. So, in my case, I did this first movie for like $50,000, and I like pushed the door open a little bit, and then Monsters Ball really opened the door for me. But it's every time you make a movie, it's hard. It's never easy. We just, Roberta and I just connected very early on, and my editor Matt and I as well. I mean, a lot of the people I work with were people I worked with over and over, and it was just like you connect with them and share vision, and that was very, it's a very powerful thing, because it inspires you, and you all, I tell them what the vision is for the movie, how I see it, what I want to do with it, and then they fuel my ideas, and they discuss and talk about it, and those ideas turn into other ideas. But ultimately, there's a very clear vision I have for a film, and that one I always, you have to try to execute, because especially the bigger the movies you get, the more voices there are there, and you have to listen and pick which voice you want to listen to, and what you want to take and what you want to leave out, and what you want to create and think you can, and what would make your story or your visual idea, how you see the movie, better, and what wouldn't. So ultimately, for my own competence, I'm just always going back to my instincts, and I'm just listening to myself. And you have to be, very aware, because as a director, you make like 50, 100 decisions a day of everybody coming to you and asking you for guidance, and you just have to be very clear. It's because it all comes back to communications, and in that way of communicating, you have to be very clear and precise what you want and what you don't want. I'm, I'm like, because of my Swiss background, I'm very precise and very disciplined, like almost like a Swiss watch. Like when we did Quantum of Solace, it was sort of the first Bond film of all time, which sort of finished at the exact time of the days allowed to shoot. So we didn't go over, and that happened pretty much with most of my movies. I'm the Scandinavian cinema, not just the Danish one, but Swedish and Norwegian one, has been, booming in the last couple of years. And the Danish one in the 90s, and then the Swedish, Norwegian one, and lately as well. And, also Korean cinema is very interesting, what is happening there in the last decade. I think in general, there are, these moments of certain countries where cinema becomes very strong, and obviously often it's a reflection of the culture. But you had this obviously in Italy and France happening, in Spain, and also in Japan. So there are these movements, and which are partially happening in certain time frames or decades. And that's always interesting to observe. Yeah, I love Scandinavian cinema. I'm with the same agent from the beginning to now, and he ultimately, my agent sends me material, and then some material I generate myself, and then ultimately he makes you a deal as well. He negotiates for you, and sometimes it's like with in certain moments you really need an agent to help you, but often you have to do it also yourself. You just can't rely on the agent. You have to generate yourself a lot of ideas and material as well. There's so many directors I love. Like Ingmar Bergman, for instance, the Swedish director I love. Also, obviously, Truffaut or Fellini or Kubrick or John Huston and so on, Billy Wilder. So Howard Hawks and so on and on. There's so many incredible directors. But I look at some of their great films, and every time I look at them, they inspire me, because they're just so amazing to watch. I love every genre in films. I love comedies to dramas to musicals to sci-fi. It's just some of them are, if there's great filmmaking, then I just love watching it. It's all about watching a great movie, and and how these movies affect you. They can make you laugh, they can make you cry, they can make you think, they can entertain you. I love even a film like Die Hard 1. Which I think is a really good movie for its genre. So, certain movies, it doesn't only have to be like the art films or the intellectual films. There are a lot of very entertaining movies I think are hilarious. Yes, at the time, the studio just didn't believe in the movie, and they felt like it will not commercially work, so they did a very limited release and didn't really put a lot of money into marketing. And the critics really didn't appreciate the movie either, so it sort of just dropped. And it's interesting because I love the movie, and a lot of people I come across while traveling really love the movie. But and I put a lot of my own into that movie. Even at the end of the movie, in the credits, all the Super 8 footage is footage from my own family. My mother shot us as children, so that's so I'm myself as a kid in that movie at the end, which has just a lot of reflection about lives and as you said, the transitions and so on. But it's it didn't caught on at the time. Sometimes it's the timing of a film as well. On my time, on my schedule and everything else. Sometimes I consume lots of movies, like 2-3 a day, and sometimes I don't see a movie for 2 weeks or 3.